From Glitch HQ on Riverside Avenue in verbose, turn-based Minneapolis, this is Nice Games Club, the show where nice game devs talk gaming and game development.
I'm Martha McGarry, and I make nice games.
I'm Martha Croy, and I make nice games.
I'm Ellen Burns-Johnson, and I make nice games too.
For this week's episode, Ellen joins us for another Nice Games Jam. We've been given a prompt, and we're going to try to come up with a complete game that you can play by the end of the episode. Will it work? We and you are about to find out. So if everyone's ready, let's start. Martha, what did our boyfriend Dylan give us as a prompt this episode?
Well, my boyfriend Dylan says that he wants to see what our take on a JRPG style game would be.
Now, why is he torturing us?
Because he really wants to know our take on how we'd make it interesting. Because he thinks that our games are interesting. So
I feel like to do it, we're going to have to extend the podcast to be like 3 hours.
Right.
Oh, yeah, to be in the full spirit.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Not quite the 150 hours you'd expect from a JRPG.
Right.
But Ellen, you were scribbling some tropes we might want to try out.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. So I don't play a lot of JRPGs, but my husband Eric, who did not send this prompt, or maybe they were in cahoots.
Whoa.
Anyway, he confront him when I get home. He's mentioned a lot of tropes that happen in JRPGs a lot, so I scribbled some of them down. One is there's a young protagonist. There's a character who's like the comic relief.
Mm-hmm.
There's a character who's brooding and mysterious. Like everyone has a big power move. There's at some point, like halfway through the game, which of course is like still 60 hours into the game, there's this big twist that kind of like reveals the cosmic nature of the story. So everything's like local up until that point, and the story's kind of developing locally and regionally. And then you find out something that's like, oh no, it's about the whole universe, the world, or like the whole world and the energy. You know, there's always some twist.
With this children's card game, I will save the universe.
Right. There is often a people from beyond the sea with inexplicably advanced technology. Some like an animal or robot character. And then, you start out with lots of cool quests with some critters and villages and stuff. Uh-huh. I feel like whatever this should be, it should have a cactus in it. Anyway, so those are some of the things that I wrote down. Okay,
I'm particularly attracted to the halfway through. It gets crazy big.
Yeah,
just because the sort of comedy element of that I'm attracted to, like it being like a little story of a village and then suddenly aliens. Like that seems like a sort of a satire of that idea.
Okay.
That's all I've got for a narrative thrust. But like, how are we going to actually pull this off here as either a paper prototype or as an actual game you can play at a table? Because I think we mentioned as we were walking into the clubhouse, like maybe we want to do this as a pen and paper RPG.
Oh yeah, just so that it's easier to do the rules.
Yeah, just so
for people to actually play it.
Right. We can use some of the tropes of JRPG video games, but maybe make
combine it with like D&D style.
Yeah, maybe we can limit it to like one encounter or like 2 scenes or something, so we kind of like keep our scope small.
Oh yeah.
Like one scene is like like
before the twist.
Before the twist, it's like like the shopkeeper village stuff that's in both pen and paper RPGs and video game RPGs, and then one can be like a battle, which could be against the final boss.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, so this is weird, but something occurred to me as we were walking in. I'm like, what if our characters were ants or something?
Oh,
like really, like some kind of critter that was really small, and we could play with the tropes. Like, okay, so one of your comic relief ant is like extra big or something, and your anthropomorphic character is actually not an ant but pretending to be an ant. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
it could be class based too. You can have fire ants and flying ants and
like
whatever.
your worker ant versus your like soldier ants.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I love it. Martha is now currently assembling cubes into various patterns, making it really look like she's making progress on something.
Yeah, let's do that.
Well, you said cactuses, and I have all these little green cubes that I've now stacked on a grid of graph paper.
Yeah,
to make them look like tiny little cactuses. And now I have little brown cubes that are ants, and that is as far as I've gotten.
So like in a JRPG, so I'm just thinking like tabletop RPGs, like you get to pick a class, but in a JRPG, like you get your party introduced to you kind of like one at a time, and then like they kind of fill different classes. Like you always have a character who's a healer or something like that. You have a character who's
a nurse ant.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we do it why don't we have the party, a metaphor from the video games, but then we'll play it like a pen and paper RPG. So our first scene can be just our main hero doing some sort of, task in the home anthill. And then our second scene can be the whole party gathered to take on whatever menace. A giant crow or something. I don't know. Can
I make a suggestion?
Yes.
I think we just start. I mean, if we're going to make this small and like playable by a group, I think we just like maybe can't come up with like concepts for, 4 to 6 different characters or classes. And then we just start the game with whoever you want, like the only requirement being someone has to play the young protagonist.
Okay.
I don't know. Because like, I think having done that, like having tried to run a game where you're assembling the party first, it can be kind of hard to do.
Well, then that's a question too. Is this a single player game, or is this that you play solitaire style? In which case we would need some sort of randomization for enemies, or is this a game like a pen and paper where you have a group of friends and a game master?
Oh my gosh, it's like Mouse Guard except it's Ant Guard. That's a good question. I think if we were making a paper prototype of a game that would be on a actual video game, I would prefer like a single player experience. Mm-hmm. But if we're going to do it out loud, pen and paper style, I would want it to be multiplayer. So,
what if we did just for the purposes of our getting it done today?
Right.
Job one. It was a one-on-one. So we had one player is the hero and the party, and the other player is the GM, but also plays the enemies. And maybe if this were a shipping title, it would be less of a GM role and more of an actual adversarial role. The great evil from beyond or something.
The anthill next,
the cosmic crow,
the ants from the anthill next over with inexplicably advanced technology.
Yes.
Okay, so I like that. I'm gonna write this down on the note sheet. Okay, 2 player, 1 player controls the party,
and that keeps us still, even though we're playing it. The rules are essentially pen and paper.
Yes,
we're still thinking of it in terms of JRPG.
I like that. Okay, so can we come up? We already have a couple like player classes. We have like the young protagonist. We have a comic relief. So young protagonist, ant.
Right.
Comic relief, ant.
Uh-huh.
Brooding and mysterious, soldier ant.
I don't know enough about the types of ants.
You haven't played Sim Ant?
No, I've only seen A Bug's Life. That's all I know about ants, which is very incorrect because they're the wrong number of arms.
Oh gosh, so many things are wrong.
And also, aren't the ants in that male ants?
Yeah.
Oh,
and there are like 99% female ants in a colony. So
yeah,
ant.
Well, that's the question: is how accurate to the animal kingdom do we want to be? Or do we want to take all of the stupid liberties that movies and video games do?
Do you want it to be E.O. Wilson Simulator 2005, or do you want it to be Disney-ified?
I think we can. I don't know. Okay, so I don't want to Disney-ify it too much, but I think we got to have some fun with it. So here's what I wrote down for classes, like for characters. So far, so we've got the young protagonist worker ant. Mm-hmm. We have the comic relief flying ant. We have the brooding and mysterious soldier ants, and we have a weevil who's pretending to be an ant.
I like it.
And if you've never seen a weevil, Google them. They eat dust. They're so cute and kind of slow, so he's going to have trouble keeping up, or she, or them. It'll be cute.
I'm on board with all of this.
Yes.
Right, cool.
Okay, so I don't know. You were saying ant colonies are 99% female.
Yes.
Is that true of all the different types of ants in our various classes? So let's just lean into that. So we have our all-female party.
Except for the flying ant. I think flying ants are males, right?
Well, they're both males and females. And then there are the queens and then drones. And they only fly to make a new colony and mate and stuff.
Okay.
Well, and this is our comedy character. So perhaps they're just bad at what they're supposed to be doing?
They don't want to be. They don't want to do that.
Yeah.
They want to
born to be a comedian, not a queen. Or they're a queen, very good entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ultimately, this only really matters in the sense of like how it appears to a player is accurate or not. But there's something about that authenticity that making those aesthetic choices is interesting.
Well, right? And if we're going to allow some role playing in this, and you can do this with, maybe we don't, you can role play your aunt however you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I wrote down for that, I wrote down the young protagonist worker ant is female. The comic relief flying ant is anything. Mm-hmm. The weevil is anything. And the soldier ant is female.
Okay.
So that's what I've got so far.
So maybe as the player, you can just, if there is some role-playing element, you can decide for those other characters.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to really lean into it, I guess the GM can play like other ants in the colony.
Yeah. Of course, now I'm thinking pen and paper style RPGs. In a JRPG, true. Usually these are pretty defined characters.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess it does. I guess my feeling is I don't care.
Yep. I think we try to make a game that's pretty flexible. You can make it whatever ant story.
Right.
You can within the rules, you do whatever you want.
Right. On the way to finalization, these choices will be made, but we don't need to make them now.
So I guess the question is like there's the story. I feel like the story is like a key thing for a JRPG.
Yeah. Right.
And like the arc of the story is sometimes really similar from one JRPG to the next. Like you start local and there's this big thing, and like you gain experience. As you gain expertise in the game, your character gains life experience and learns important lessons and makes friends and loses friends. I guess the question is like, do we tackle the mechanics first or do we tackle the story first?
Well, I feel like we're getting the setting and the characters. So maybe we just spend some time with the story. And if we're going to do these two scenes, either they are two snapshots of a proposed longer story, and we can just sort of quickly come up with what those scenes are, what the goal of the player is in each, what the twist at the end is. And then when we're done with that, then we can just make our battle system or whatever. Does that seem a good use of our time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we said like three scenes we wanted to do, or 2 scenes. I don't know. 3 seems like maybe we should do 3.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. We're committing to 3. It's happening.
We can do this. We can do this. Do I sound confident? I don't know, Martha. What do you think? 2 or 3?
Let's commit to 2, 3 stretch goal.
I like it. Okay. So
hold on. Why don't we're doing story. So let's just come up with the story of 3 scenes, and then we only have to mechanize 1 or 2 of them.
That's true. That's true.
Okay. So I was thinking what popped into my head was like the 3rd scene has got to be the cosmic twist, right?
Yes.
So cosmic twist.
There could be a portal to another dimension. Or cosmic crows from space.
Well, if we're thinking of this as like a snapshot to say pitch to a development team or a publisher, I almost want the 3rd scene to be the climactic battle at the very end of the game.
Wow, you've got big goals for this, Mark.
Well, I mean,
yeah, no, yeah.
Maybe the twist comes in the 2nd scene then.
Well, we're thinking scenes are encounters. I guess. When I'm thinking like tabletop RPG, like. I guess you can think in terms of scenes, but you're like driving to encounters where you're rolling the dice. So maybe like the 3rd encounter, we think about it as like 3 encounters, and the 3rd encounter is like the battle that happens after the cosmic twist.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Mm. So we don't need to write the closing cutscene. We're just gonna let's talk about the big twist, and that'll be the 3rd thing.
That's the GM. The GM can shape the closing cutscene. We just gotta like here are the encounters you have to get towards. Now get there.
Okay.
With your ants.
So to have a twist, we need a status quo to upheave, right? So
yeah.
What's our status quo?
Well, there's all these different like jobs that have to get done around the colony. Mm-hmm. So like maybe there's not enough food, then you have to go on a journey to find more food. Or
I like that. Maybe this idea that like it's maybe so there's 2 ways to do this. We can do this where, because we're an ant colony, we can say that the twist is something we as players know already. Like the ant colony could be like, we're the only living creatures in the world, and then they go outside their borders and realize, oh no, crows exist, right? And that could be the big twist. But then there's some dramatic irony, or it could be the player is assuming that's when it happened, but instead aliens.
Right. You know what we could do is we could come up with like 3 different potential ways that last cosmic encounter could go.
Yeah.
And then you have like a random dice
I like
roll
that.
like shows you in that direction. So you finish the first encounter, you finish the second encounter, and then you do this random dice roll. And then the third thing is like, here's the cosmic twist. And it's one of 3 things that could happen. How do your ant characters deal with it?
So what I like about that is that that's like the first original idea that we've had, because otherwise we're just filling in any story, right? I love that as a mechanic. Whereas you play a game and, there are multiple endings, but rarely is the multiple ending reality shifting, right? It's either like, does the hero live or die? Do they save the kingdom or send it to ruin? But rarely is it, if ever, is it a kingdom of dinosaurs or a kingdom of aliens, right? So yeah, I love that. That's great.
I would also like to say that I think the idea for a Weevil character is probably pretty unique.
Okay, fair enough.
But maybe that's for good reason. We'll find out.
One of the twists could be that the Weevils have actually infiltrated most of the colony, and now the ants are actually it's like a conspiracy theory.
Right. One of the twists could be sort of pod people-y, right?
Yes.
Like our Weevil character, we as players are like, oh, it's so cute, they're pretending. And then the twist is there are other people pretending that I didn't know about. That's
turns out the queen is a Weevil.
Right. And then the final encounter could be going back home to defeat the imposter.
So like they live, but ants. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to write down ideas on this other thing.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So then our story along the way before the twist. So the story up to then should be the same no matter what the ending is. And it's Martha, you were saying, the sort of the quest for food, for bringing back resources to the sort of dying colony. That sound right?
Yeah.
And what's nice about the twist of the Weevils having infiltrated is that maybe that's why the colony is dying.
Yeah.
Because they're not doing not taking care of things normally. Right? And so each of the twists should maybe explain the situation in a different way.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah, I like that.
So like one of the twists could be extraterrestrial or magic, and that could be as a result of the indescribably advanced technology, like water is evaporating from the water table, and that's why we're having such resource problems or whatever. So each one would logically make sense.
I just realized that using Weevils enables us to say that it's an evil Weevil infiltration.
Oh my God.
We're great.
Excellent work.
Okay. Okay. So some of the twists, we're thinking 3 different twists that we're going to choose. That's going to be randomly the case at the end. So one of them is it's an evil Weevil infiltration that's leading to the dying colony. Mm-hmm. And then what the other one, something like environmental.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like not enough water. Or,
I mean, that's just a stand-in for anything that is a problem. But I'm just imagining the technology that is incredibly advanced from the nearby colony is what's causing the problem.
Oh yeah, incredibly advanced nearby ant colony.
Right. They're building a rocket ship.
Okay, I like that. And so evil Weevil infiltration.
Uh-huh.
Incredibly advanced nearby ant colony. Something like truly cosmic, like. You're actually a colony that's inside a cage.
Okay.
And your human isn't feeding you anymore.
I like that a lot.
Whoa.
And maybe to make it even more, I mean, that one can just work in reality, right? But you could make it where our hero is destined to break the cage or something.
Right. Like it's a challenge like you guys overcome once you realize like, okay, well, you got to break your ant colony out of this.
Yeah.
Ant.
Excellent.
And then it turns out that you're actually an ant colony in space.
yeah, it breaks open and you start floating through the ISS.
Yeah.
the reason that your ant colony is dying is because some ferret malfunctioned the bots on level 2. Okay.
These are all 3 good endings, I think.
Yeah, I like them all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now the thing is, if we're making this as a proper JRPG with lots of art and settings and characters, we need to like thread the needle very delicately to make all 3 of these possible. Mm-hmm. But I think that would be a really fun challenge.
I think it'd be a really fun challenge too. I mean, I think there's a lot of this. As long as we get the mechanics right, there's a lot of these gaps that the game master can fill in.
Yes.
And the player can fill in together.
Yes. The 5th edition strategy where you just replace all the things that 3rd edition did with DM decides.
Right. Yes. Well, I'm thinking more like in terms of like the world building and the story, but
yeah.
Like if we have those story beats already defined, then like you can have fun in between those with the story however you like. It's just like we do have to have mechanics that will make sense when we get to if we go down the evil weevil infiltration, and we have to have mechanics that will make sense if we end up with the incredibly advanced nearby ant colony, and we have to have mechanics that'll make sense if you end up with a captive ant colony and you're not getting fed ending. But that's kind of nice because that kind of defines like these are the mechanics that we want to have.
Right. So for this, the encounters we'll design. Let's just stick to those 3 battle or some sort of encounters rather than worrying about the previous scenes. I think those are off the table now. In terms of making mechanics for them. Let's just focus on these 3 endings.
Okay.
In terms of like actually designing the encounters.
That's what you want to define next is like the mechanics we would need to have these endings.
If you think we're ready for it, unless we want to spin a little bit more on the story stuff, because this is fun.
Well, I think we might want to generate a little bit more of story ideas because we might find at that point that we want to introduce more mechanics, but we also might see some opportunities to have them be the same. I think we want them to be the same because we want players to practice.
Yeah, it's not 3 different games, right? It's in one of them you have to break through the glass, but you use your same weapons you would use if you're fighting off the Weevil imposter, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess we should come up with sort of a core mechanics for I guess the battle system. Like assuming all 3 of these endings are going to involve a battle.
So we'll need a battle system, but I also think like you also might need like a battle system, and you also might need like a searching system because if you're trying to find more food or you're trying to find an escape route.
Yeah.
Battle system.
Or thinking of like the 2D20 system that Star Trek Adventures uses, which is the pen and paper RPG I'm most familiar with now because I run that game, is everything is defined as a task. Like everything. Mm-hmm. Fighting someone, defending against someone, arguing with someone to get more information. All those have a simple mechanic that is adapted to everything. We could do something like that, or we can come with like 2 different things, a battle system and a sort of action system, right? And define like movement, action, fight as different things. If that makes sense. I don't know, how do JRPGs generally do it? Like even live ones, like the later Final Fantasies, still have menus that categorize different types of actions and have different rules, right?
Yeah.
Well, what can an ant do? They can move. They can bite.
They can carry.
They can carry.
They can make sense.
They can sense. They can use their antenna. Oh, sense, like they can leave a scent trail.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they can sense scent trails.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just going to write these down as ideas.
So actually, this could work pretty well. So the mechanics for the prior to the big twist can be about going off on quests to search for and find things to carry back, right? And then the big twist is sort of like none of that really mattered, sort of. Not that the twist would ruin your progress or anything. Maybe the amount of resources you gather in the early part of the game helps you ultimately fight the big battle at the end. But the scent and pathfinding and transport, this seems like ant things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We could have because I feel like one thing for RPGs is like random encounters,
mm-hmm.
whatever. So like you could roll the die to see how many like scent trails and how good the scent trails are that you're following to mm-hmm. find this food. And then along the way, you have to fight like, I don't know, other ants or other types of bugs.
Yeah.
And then roll on the food table to see.
Well, okay, so it's like hunting for treasure, right? So if we have a enemy / GM player, then maybe either they come up with the map that the player needs to navigate, or if they're strictly adversarial in terms of what the player does, rather than being a GM, maybe we just have a system where it's all randomly determined, at least for our version of this game. And then in random encounters, the other player just plays the enemies, right?
Yeah. That sounds good to me.
Okay.
So while you guys are talking, I'm kind of sketching out some initial mechanics and values for each of our characters, for mm-hmm. each of the actions that we took. So I wrote down worker, soldier, flyer, and weevil. And then I wrote down bite, move, carry, sense, and leave scent trail as action. So I'm thinking each of these have different values so we can balance them a little bit. So like,
oh yeah,
they're all going to have maybe the way that we distinguish between like whether they're tankish or not is just HP.
Mhm.
So maybe the worker has 10 HP and the soldier has like 15 HP and the flyer has 8 HP and the weevil has 20 or something.
Sure.
I like the idea of the weevil having more than the soldier because weevils are, I was going to say crunchy. They have a robust exoskeleton. And those numbers might suck, but we can figure that out later.
Yeah.
Okay, so then for bite, I wrote down the worker has 1, the soldier has 3. I feel like, well, maybe the flyer also has 1, and the weevil has.
Yeah, like how effective is the weevil? Because
0.
The weevil being a party member, but also weevils being a potential enemy. Like, do we want the weevil to be like a big hulking goof in that it's like a tank that can't fight that hard, right?
Yeah.
So lots of HP, not a lot of offensive abilities. And I don't know what a weevil actually does in the wild.
They eat dust.
Okay, so they're not especially aggressive generally.
No.
Okay.
No. But maybe we could give them a push ability. So like none of the ants get push.
Yeah.
But the weevil gets a push of like 2, so they can use that action to like push on the board. If you're laying out like a grid like in D&D or something like that, the weevil can like push the enemies.
Well, that works well because in a scenario where you're fighting a bunch of them, the goal is like they can just deflect your attacks in some manner long enough for something to collapse or for them to shove you into a hazard.
Yeah,
and that could be their way of attacking against you without making the weevil in your party because I want the weevil in your party to not be terribly useful, I guess.
Yeah.
To be very conditionally useful. So that works pretty well the way you've defined it.
Yeah, I was thinking about maybe one way to do that would be to make the weevil, like, ants are pretty fast, right? For bugs, I guess. And
I mean, I can outrun them.
Exactly. But weevils, they would not be able to outrun you, Mark.
Yeah, okay.
For sure. They can't outrun an ant. They're pretty slow.
Yeah.
So maybe like ants have a movement of, let's just say 5 because that's easy.
Yeah.
Or maybe 4 and the flyer has a movement of 5 or something.
Oh, yeah.
Right, because the flyer has very weak offense and not a lot of HP. So, it makes sense that it would be fast moving, not just narratively, but mechanically.
Right. And then the weevil might have a movement of 2 or 3.
Well, maybe the weevil moves the same as the worker. It's like the sort of Mario movement. Because its other stats are really high HP, low attack.
Right.
So maybe it just moves normally.
So maybe we give the weevil an attack of 1 and the worker and the flyer the worker an attack of 2 and the soldier an attack of 3.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And the weevil can also push 2. Okay, so for carry, I feel like workers should be able to carry a lot.
Mm-hmm. That seems like that's their job, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what carry means. I'm going to say carry of 5.
Yeah. Maybe that's just about like how much you can carry.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a analog for inventory size.
Yeah. So you have an inventory size of 5. I do feel like the soldier should have a similar size because soldiers' ants are big. The flyer should have a small inventory.
Mm-hmm.
Or smaller, maybe 4. And the weevil can maybe have a 4. All right. Sense. I feel like, I don't know, man. The weevil can't leave a scent trail because the weevil's not an ant.
Yeah.
I'm really thinking about this pretty hard.
Maybe, the flyer will be not on the ground, so they can't smell the thing.
Or maybe they can sense more. I guess I put sense instead of smell.
Oh, got it.
So maybe the flyer has good sense scores.
So in a sort of an investigation task, this is the stat you check against.
Right. So like if you roll a d10 as a worker, you get like...
Yeah, I think the workers should have pretty good because they're usually the ones going out and get stuff. I think soldiers should have not very good because their job is to just stand at the gate, usually.
And the flyer could be a scout, but maybe its fast movement is enough for that. Do you know what I mean? Depending on how we
if it's in the air, it should have not very good.
Right, 2 different stats. Like it should have maybe the same as the worker on the ground, but none in the air. But then you can land somewhere and then you can check something pretty well. But when you're in the air, you can't check anything. So you have to make frequent stops or something.
Or you can't attack when you're in the air. But you can sense more when you're in the air.
Oh, yeah, maybe that.
And you can move faster when you're
right. What is sense exactly? Is it discovering hidden things or just generalized seeing around you? Because in which case, flying would give you excellent sense just on its own, right?
But if you're trying to do scent trails, it would be disadvantaged because you can't actually.
Right. So that's the question: is what is what are we fictionalizing?
Yeah.
Right.
Or maybe it's just scent trails, and scent trails is like a different like ant specific way of communicating. You know, like so the weevil can't leave scent trails, can't pick up can't sense scent trails, but
right.
ants can do that with each other.
Yeah. So in that case, it would be flying. You'd have none, but on the ground, you'd have a fair amount for the flyer, right?
Right, for scent trails.
Yeah.
And maybe, it's opposite in the air for just general seeing perception.
Right.
Perception check.
If we want to add an extra, presumably there might be many more stats in a fully robust system.
Right. Okay. Gosh, I'm almost filled 2 pages of notes, so it's feeling pretty robust. Okay, so scent trail. So like worker scent trail, maybe that's another rolling score, and workers have.
I feel like just to simplify the mechanics, like you always leave a scent trail, and then the stat is just your ability to pick it up. And so whether you leave it or not is just whether you're an ant or not. Right, and then maybe the flyer doesn't leave a scent trail in the air. And so enemies that are trying to track you can, depending on their stat of sensing, can just follow your path, right? Because you always leave a trail, unless you're not an ant.
Right. Are they? Wait. So okay. So I think we have to go to the mechanics to figure out what these mean. Because like, are we imagining that the ants? Are we doing a grid-based tactics RPG?
Right, or just purely encounter.
Right. So, like, if you have the weevil as the main party member or something, you're not leaving a scent trail, so you have less random encounters, maybe?
What if there's like...
how would that actually affect the gameplay?
So, how about in the overworld, it's grid-based, and this is where you use your sensing ability to find resources as well as like pathways or whatever your goal is to go someplace. And then in an encounter, none of that matters. But when you're on the overworld, enemies can track you. And that's how the random encounters work, is whether we don't need to show them on the grid. It could be more a case of like, there's a secret list of enemies that are in the area. And depending on, maybe that maybe they are positioned on the map, but the closer you are to their position, you check that against their sensing score. So if you're far away and they have really good sense, then the chance of that encounter happening this round are relatively good. But if you're really close and their sensing is awful, then it's about the same chance.
Right. So I like that idea. I like the idea of, we just find like here the GM has a, 20 by 20 or 30 by, I don't know what 20 by 20 is pretty huge, but maybe 20 by 20 grid, and the entire campaign, the 3 encounters all takes place on that grid, and they get to lay out the map however they want. But the GM has like their GM screen map, and they have all the scent trails marked out, and where like the big twist at the end will take place. But the players don't see that; they have to sense, and so like
you have to search for resources, and then you might just stumble on the twist.
Right.
Okay, I like it.
Right, and then or maybe the twist happens like after you do both encounters, and then it appears wherever the GM wants it to. But like the GM could have the scent trails mapped out, the enemies mapped out, and then you get that cool overworld feel in JRPGs where you're like running around and trying to do your stuff, and you randomly like, oh, you've encountered a cactus.
So it's like, it's like adding in kind of battleship mechanics or something, like you happen to land on the square, and that's where the GM had put thing.
Yeah, so you can move 4 squares, and you do like a sense roll, and you find a thing of food, or you do a sense roll and you find an enemy, or you do a sense roll and you realize, crap, you are in enemy territory. And you can use your scent trail ability to do that.
So what if because thinking about what the twists are, right? One of them is that you're in an ant colony in somebody's living room or on a space station or wherever we decide it's going to be. So maybe what we can do is just to preserve the integrity of that ending, but still match the others. What if our overworld grid is a series of paths like an ant colony, so that when you do a sense check, you don't get to the food, you find out where it is on the map. and then you have a couple of options from your sense check, and then you decide, you see the map, you can say, what's the fastest route to get to each of those things or something. You need to make some sort of choice as to which one to go for, I guess, rather than it just being a grid that you can just go in any direction.
Oh yeah, I like that. So you have I'm just going to do some sketching here to kind of think through it. Mm-hmm. Oh, I got this one. So there's the grid, and like you start in, one part of whatever part your GM wants you to do.
Right. It'd be the home colony, wherever.
Yep. And your first challenge is the colony is dying and we need more food. So you can do like a sense trail, and you could get like a cardinal, there might be some food here and there might be some food here. And then because the GM has mapped out exactly like what's there and what's along the way.
Yeah.
Then you move however many squares you want to for your move action. And then every one of your party members takes a turn. So like the moving, like basically the encounter kind of almost starts right there. Like you move, you say, okay, your characters all move, and they all move towards whatever trail you want to go find out.
Yeah.
Or you split them up and you actually put 2 of them over here, 2 over here.
Oh, how about this? My first thought on that is that in the overworld, because if this is going to be a single player game, I don't think we need to have the different party members have different moves.
Okay.
I think I might just complicate it.
Yeah.
At least for the purposes of what we're doing now.
Okay.
But I like the idea of like you get you do a sense check, and depending on how successful it is, that's how many scent trails you discover. Mm-hmm. And then maybe instead of saying I'm going to move left or right, you say I'm going to follow scent trail B. And only the GM knows what direction that is and how long it is.
Oh, yeah.
And so each sense trail can be, the GM can describe it to the player. And then the player has to make a calculated risk saying, this one sounds like it's a much greater treasure at the end. But it also sounds like it might take longer to travel. And because ants sort of work on a just moving forward based on whatever it is, sort of autonomically, that can kind of work. And then basically you're on that trail, and then maybe every turn you move X number of directions, but the GM moves you. In along the path, which you have no idea what it looks like. And then let's say at the end of the turn, then you can decide to do another sense check, and then you can get another trail, and you could decide to split off. This is the only agency you have as an ant, I guess. But then you've now wasted some time traveling doing that first one. So there's some interesting choices, perhaps. And then once you reach a destination, then some mechanic to get everything back to your. Maybe it's just like a check, or maybe you have to expend one of your party members, like a resource, to take it back, and then you're down one, so that if you encounter an enemy, you have one fewer person or something.
Yeah.
And then you just need to get a certain number of those treasures discovered
to trigger
either to trigger it or before a time limit. Because I'm trying to think of like what is the pressure to make it there quickly or to get more resources.
Queen is dying. Colony is dying, and
okay.
the queen is starving, and you need to find food for her.
So maybe the queen will die in X number of turns or something, and you need to get back. And every time you get something back there, then you get like a little extra. You buy some time, perhaps.
Ooh, yeah, okay. What do you think, Martha?
Sure.
All this trail stuff sounds good to you? I feel like I went on for a while.
Yes, the trail stuff sounds really good.
Okay,
I like that.
I just know, like, I need to know, like, the only reason it wouldn't work is if each trail is as good as the other. Like, what basis does the player make the choice? But we can figure that out later, I guess. I
think, yeah. So I'm itching to get to how the battles work.
Okay.
So I think what we can do is we can try playing
let's
playing some stuff, and figure out how the battles are going to work.
Okay. So who wants to be our GM?
I'll try.
Okay. So you'll need to come up with like a little map with a couple of paths. And however complicated you want to make that is up to you at this point.
Okay.
And then Martha and I will co-play the character.
Okay.
And then okay, so the first thing we do is leaving home. We want to do a sense check of some kind.
How do we do that?
Yeah. So I think I don't like the idea of failure here. I think maybe just the idea of like how successful we are.
Yes.
Then Ellen needs to determine which of the paths are revealed to us based on how successful our check is. if that makes sense.
I guess I was thinking you'd find both paths, but you wouldn't be able to get very much information.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, yeah.
So
so like if you do
Go ahead.
If you get roll like a 6 or whatever the highest number is, you get to know exactly what's at the end and like how good it's going to be.
Yeah.
But if you only get a 1, they're like, there's 2 paths, A and B.
Right. So the information about the paths that exist mechanically are the value of the treasure or the resource you get, and then I guess how long the path is. Right?
Yeah.
Is there like any other information?
A danger meter.
Okay.
Maybe.
How perilous?
Yeah, it's very perilous.
And then that can either be like a chance of an encounter along the way, basically.
Yeah.
So you might be able to get by without any encounters, but it's a risk.
Yes.
I like that a lot. Maybe we don't need to do this for this version, but I imagine the resources could be typed. So it could be just food, or it could be something else ants need. And then there'd be a reason to choose one over the other, right? Like, oh, these paths, there's food here, there's water here, there's like, I don't know, whatever ants use for mortar, like building materials. And I only need one of them right now or something. Or like I need this one badly, but it's such a risky path. But if I take the less risky path, then I've got more time to go for the risk, stuff like that. Maybe we don't need to worry about all the complexities of that now. Just resource. That makes sense for now.
Yeah, let's just make them all food for now.
Okay. And then they have different amounts of food, so different value, like 1, 2, or 3, I guess.
Sure.
Whatever. And then the queen needs X amount per turn or per like round or cycle or something. I don't know. Or it just counts down until the queen, croaks.
I think like you need to get her X units of food within like 5 rounds or something like that.
Well, let's just assume we figured all that out and just and just our player motivation is get as much food as possible.
Yeah, let's just do that for now. Because we're just going to play 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And then the final battle.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a tiny bite-sized game right now.
Yeah. So I was saying that it'd be nice just to have one character, in the overworld area, but we have different party members with different stats for sensing. So how do we determine who does that? Is it a combined number?
Well,
maybe your party only has 2 or 3 people, but there's 5 character options, so that your check is determined based on the choice you made for your party composition.
Oh yeah. Sure. Or it could just be like
We're getting some complicated choices in here.
Let's just say you get to pick who's going to do it.
Yeah. So let's just say whatever has the best sensing. We'll just stick with that for now. We also don't know what you need to check against or what the chances of winning.
Well, okay. So if you're like in a battle, like a random encounter, one of your people gets knocked out, you can't pick them to do the.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
So
you start off just picking your best stat in whatever you need to do.
Yeah. Yep. And then you get reduced options if someone gets knocked out.
Yep. Okay. All right. So let's do our sense check. So I guess we roll a die.
What number of dice should we roll?
I was thinking everything kind of based around D10s.
Oh, okay.
Because D10s are fun?
Because 10 is easy.
Okay. Because you can translate that into percentages and stuff.
Yeah, because 10 is easy.
Yeah.
This one's a percentage die. Here's a D10.
Okay. So we have maybe it's a roll and then you add your stat to get the number. Or do you need to roll under your stat?
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, just different ways to. I mean, that's kind of doesn't really matter, but we could pick
Let's
something.
do D&D style roll add stat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what you were imagining?
Yeah.
And then so, Ellen, you'll decide a threshold for the information we need. And this isn't, you can just quickly. It doesn't have to be balanced.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm rolling. We're gonna have whoever's highest do the thing. Oh no!
Martha rolled a 1.
I rolled a 1. Hooray!
Well, that's always bad.
Yeah.
1 plus whatever it was.
So I'm gonna have the overworld map here, and I'm gonna use this pink one.
Okay. So we've got this small piece of graph paper that we're using, and it's on the table. It's blank, but Ellen has her annotated version hidden from
behind the scenes, behind the DM screen.
Yep.
Yeah. It's pretty janky right now. So you guys are starting here, and your roll of 1
down in one of the corners.
Yep. So we're down in one of the corners. So you guys, your roll is enough to tell you that you've got 2 available scent trails that are leading to food, and one of them puts you roughly in this area.
That is, let's put coordinate planes on here. What is that? North? Is this north?
That would be, so there's the 4 corners. We start in the lower left corner. This first general area is in the upper left corner.
Right. So let's say that that's north. So, so the first one of the food trails leads to the very edge of the map on the northwest corner. And the other one leads generally to midway through the map towards the east, kind of on the same,
but
right along
in
the
the
same
south
edge.
where we are.
In the south where you are,
doesn't seem too far away.
But you don't, you just like forgot to clean off your antenna today, I guess. And first
reception
of all,
isn't very good.
Gross. But yeah, your reception is not very good. So you don't really know you don't really know exactly how far it is. And you can't really pick out any information about how good the food is or what else might be along the trail.
And like the path might be meandering,
yeah,
perhaps. So the shorter path might not be the shorter path.
Right. You only
Ellen seems like someone who would play that trick on us. You should see the smile she's giving us.
Okay,
clever ants.
which way do we want to go?
Well, I think let's just try that shorter path and see how bad an idea it is.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, we're gonna take that shorter path, and so I guess we have a move into action at this point.
Yeah, well, I guess this is where we have to figure out how move works. I guess it doesn't really I don't really like the idea of having to have people move within encounters. I feel like move should be a thing that we do along the path, and then each time you max out your move action, we have to roll to see if you find the thing.
Yeah, I agree. That makes sense.
Okay.
Or you find a monster.
And then maybe the encounter happens along the way, but you still end it at the end of your movement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Okay, we're on the same page. I'm not taking great notes there. Can one of you guys scribble that down? Or I can try to scribble it.
Oh.
I'm really worried about the shorthand that I'm using right now. Move.
Yeah, we don't have Steven here. He usually takes the notes for a nice games jam.
And
we put it all on Ellen, and who took on the task with very little protest, probably because she didn't know how hard it was.
Exactly. No, the cool thing is like I'm going to be able to scan these notes into my app, and so we'll post the PDF of what these notes look like.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad, you guys.
It won't just be our edited text like you usually get.
No, well, maybe you can get that too, but I'll also post. You should probably get that too, but you'll definitely get the raw notes as well, and you can make fun of me all you want. Okay, so let me make sure that I got my map here. All right, so your movement, you have like 1 party movement score, right? Is that what we decided?
Yeah, and it can really be anything.
Let's just say 4.
Sure.
Okay, so
Martha, you comfortable with 4?
4 sounds great.
Okay.
I realize these cubes are actually too big. We want a cube to be like a 1 square.
Oh,
right?
Yes.
Oh, we're now having some trouble with it. Just draw our path.
Yeah, that's what I'll do.
Right? On this graph paper. We don't need to actually use the tokens.
Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, the pink cube can be where we like points of interest.
Yeah. So, I mean, listeners who've heard our Nice Games Jam know that sometimes we like have to like work within the constraints of our materials. We also desperately try not to spend too much time working around the constraints of our materials. But just to explain here, we have these little cubes and our graph paper. The cubes are like 1.5 size times bigger than the squares on the thing. So it's kind of hard to visualize. So we're just going to be drawing our path on the graph paper for now.
Okay, we are now 4 squares away from the start. We have moved 3 squares to the east and 1 square to the north.
Okay, so progress. Not quite a direct path.
Mark sounds worried. Okay, so we have moved into 4, and now it's time to roll. Let's do a sense. Let's do a scent trail. Let's see, how do we do this? I want to like what is the roll that you make?
Yeah,
if you're trying to avoid a potential or like find trouble, because you're not looking for trouble, you're trying to avoid trouble.
So there's a couple of ways we could do it. We could do it where it's just a random encounter check, so it's independent of our stats, or as you were saying, it's against our stats, whether we either found it, whatever it was, if it's a good encounter, or avoided it if it was a bad encounter.
I like the idea of this just being random.
Okay.
I think that
worked for you, Martha?
Yeah, I think for ease of simplicity for now, we should do that.
Maybe it's just you roll against a table, so it's like a D4 or a D6 or something.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And then let's just stick with D10s if we're okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we just have only D10s.
Right.
Then you only have to buy a D10 from.
Yeah. We're thinking about the consumer here.
Yes.
You just need two D10s for this game. Okay. So
Ellen rolled a 2.
I rolled a 2, and you guys start out on your journey, and the weevil is kind of putzing around, but it's keeping up.
Yeah.
Keeping up. They're puffing along. And you turn a corner, and you follow the scent trail beneath a rock, where you encounter a wounded house centipede. Dun, dun,
Oh
dun.
no, that's the worst thing ever.
Gross.
No. Dislike. No.
And it goes.
No.
This is the one bug on the planet that, Martha, you have a problem with.
Yes.
I hate centipedes. I'm with you.
Oh, there was one in my laundry room the other day. Anyway, woof. Okay. Let's defeat this thing. I want it gone.
My first instinct was like, oh, let's help it. But you're like, no, murder time.
They have poison barbs on the end of their feet. No, thank you.
It doesn't look like helping it is an option, Mark. This thing is not happy to see you.
Okay. All right. Let's give it the what for.
Shoot, I got to give this thing stats. Okay.
Legs, too many.
many legs. It's wounded though, so it's missing some of its legs.
Okay.
Aren't they not actually legs? Isn't that the thing about them?
There's they're legs, but they have weird appendages on the front and the back that might not be legs.
The first 3 legs, 3 sets of legs are legs / venom injecting thingies for other things. Yeah. Yep. They're not okay. The more you learn about them, the more they're not okay.
For those of you still with us.
We should put a content warning on this.
Yeah.
Discussion of centipedes is happening.
Let me so I got to come up with some stats for centipede.
Yeah.
And the stats that we decided were important were like HPs and bite, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Just offense, defense for now.
Okay.
Stab.
And so like each of us in the party has a chance to hear this in a more complicated system. They would have abilities or heals or things like that, but we can just work with attack and defend. So once we have stats, we'll just need to come up with a system for with our D10s for what we check against and how we roll. How much is due to randomization versus how much is due to the choices you make of which party member attacks, that sort of thing. Maybe the centipede has areas to attack, so you can choose to attack its head, body, or whatever those leg things are.
I'm just gonna start with just like centipede.
Yeah.
Fight the centipede.
All right.
It's all right. Are you guys ready?
Sure.
Okay. So maybe we just do a roll off to see which grows first. The party of ants / weevil.
So initiative.
Yeah, initiative.
Okay.
And just whoever rolls highest gets to do the first turn.
So this would be a good thing when designing encounters. You could have surprise encounters where the enemy just gets the initiative versus ones where we stumble upon it and then we roll for it.
Right. Here just happened to be a centipede in your trail. So
yeah.
All right.
Martha,
do you want to do the player roll or Mark?
I'll do it. Would you just roll first? I just need a D10 so we can roll at the same time.
Gosh, we have so many of those. Here, I'll give you an orange one.
Cool.
It's really important to choose a good dye color.
Yeah. You're joking, but I kind of agree.
No, I don't think I'm joking.
Okay, good.
Sorry, I'm just reading about centipedes to make sure what I said was right.
This is important.
Martha, don't scare yourself.
Okay.
I think it's just the first set, not the first 3.
Ellen rolled an 8 and I rolled a measly 3. So, you can just win the initiative, but maybe we would want to, in a system, have like sensing or some other stat adjust these rolls.
Yeah, like if your initial sense roll when you started out on your path was high, then maybe you get a bonus to initiative.
Yeah, you can maybe you can bank extra. So like if you only needed this much sensing, then you can bank the extra to add later. So like imagine like we rolled sensing to determine the paths, right? Let's say we rolled really well. And we're like, okay, we're only going to use half of it. And then you tell us what we get, and then we just get to keep the rest to add to other future sensing rolls or something. That would be a unique mechanic.
I kind of like the idea of exploring that. I want to finish out the combat mechanics.
Yes, let's ignore it for now. Ellen has the initiative.
Bank. Sense? Question mark?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just trying to find interesting places to make choices.
Right.
But I don't know how well that would work at all.
Yeah. Well, here's one. Okay, so the centipede's going to attack first.
Okay.
Maybe one choice is which of your party members does it attack?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's a player choice, because I think in most like digital RPGs, there's a lot of algorithms and stuff or maybe it's random, but maybe this is something that the player gets to choose.
Well, this is a question about whether the GM is playing as a GM or as an opponent that's looking to win, right? In which case, we want to give the GM a lot of interesting choices as well. Right?
Good point.
My instinct is to let the GM decide regardless, right? Because one, it's interesting, but also the GM should have some strategy to actually try to defeat the player.
I like that. Okay, so I, as the centipede.
Oh wait, we gave Ellen a lot of power just now.
Well, I think my ultimate goal is not to kill everyone; it's to make an interesting game.
Right.
So, so as a centipede, it's a sentence I've never thought I would say. I, playing as a centipede, am going to attack the
force appeals. That's what they're called. The things that are pincer-like and are like legs.
Well, great. Now I know that.
Yep. Now you know. I just looked it up.
I am going to attack. I guess the flyer is on the ground right now.
I suppose so.
Everyone's on the ground right now. So I'm going to attack the flyer ants with my, what are they called?
Force appeals. Forciples?
Forciples. Ugh.
They're on centipedes and no other arthropods. Now you know.
So maybe this is just another like opposed roll. Like you roll defense and I roll offense, and if I roll higher than you, then I do my bite attack.
Yeah.
Right.
I like
and
it.
so you have an attack stat, but is there any defense stat we've came up with for the party members?
Nope.
Oh.
We just have HPs. But maybe there should be a defense stat.
It could. I mean, if we wanted to make this a really simple system, our attack could just be a strength, and it could be strength versus strength or something.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Unless we really wanted to split offense and defensive for more balanced character classes or whatever. But for now, maybe we just do strength versus strength just to get through it.
Yeah, I say that.
Ellen?
Or not.
Ellen's like,
Ellen's
going to come with a better idea.
Well, no, I just don't have a strength. I just didn't do a strength thing for any of the... It's not something I thought about earlier. The Weevil had strength. I mean, what about like exoskeleton or something?
Oh,
like AC?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
EEX.
So basically, that you gave each character a certain amount of hit points, which is sort of an analog for how its defensive measures. So presumably, you'd use a similar. So maybe we all start with the same HP, but then the armor is
balanced.
Yeah, like that. Okay,
right.
So I used the right pen. So everyone gets 10 HPs.
Sure,
because 10 is easy.
Mm-hmm.
And the worker gets +0 AC or exoskeleton. The soldier gets, let's do +2. The flyer gets -1. And the weevil gets +4.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay.
So you're attacking the flyer. So it's -1 to my roll.
Right.
Oof.
And your attack is...
I feel like attack, maybe there's no plus attack. It's just like you roll your attack. Does that make sense? But then like the strength of your bite is different.
Right. That's what I was wondering is we have the bite stat, which I'm just assuming is our attack roll, like the modifier. Right?
Yeah, I'd say that.
But then it's also the damage.
Oh, I see what you mean. It does that much damage.
Right.
Oh, I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like the bite is how much damage your bite does, but everyone has like the same plus to attack, which is nothing.
It's so funny how there's all this shorthand, but you're like, no, you actually do need to define some of these some more complicated than even when you're doing it kind of simply.
Yeah, I think if everyone gets the same bonus to attack, and then the difference is your modifier to defense. If everyone has the same modifier to attack, then the differentiator between your different characters is the damage.
Okay.
Can we start with that?
Let's just do that for now.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So I have -1. You just have neutral because that's what attacks are.
Neutral for attack.
I rolled a 10.
Okay, so then I rolled a 7.
So I got a 9.
So you still beat my roll.
Hooray!
My bite attempt
Finally
failed.
A break for Team Ant.
Yay! Go team.
And okay, we didn't come up with names for ants. I guess that's okay.
Well, the players are just going to rename them
right.
dumb things anyway.
Right.
So.
Prince Dork.
I guess that is definitely like, okay, this game is working for me because if I'm to the point where I want to name my characters, I'm in.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so I think now it would be the player's turn to attack the centipede.
Yeah. So the question is, do each of the, like in D&D, each of the player characters has its own initiative. If we're playing as a party and we have the initiative is passed to us, do we then just determine which of our player goes, and then maybe they're spent for that cycle or something?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Sure, let's do it.
So what do you think, Martha?
Should we just attack with the big soldier?
Let's do it.
Okay.
You can go ahead and roll for this one.
Okay, rolling.
Ooh,
I got an 8.
Pretty rough. Okay, so
and Ellen got a 2.
Yeah, and so I don't have any modifiers to my exoskeleton, so your bite attack succeeds, and your bite damage is 3. So I got to keep track of some HPs here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, this is.
Well, at this point, I mean, we've done an attack, we've done a defense. I think we can fast forward through this and just assume we eventually kill it but suffer damage along the way, or do we want to actually play out any of the possible scenarios? I'm just trying to avoid a ton of rolls right now because we already got an idea of what it is.
I tried to balance this to be pretty easy. It's a wounded centipede.
Oh, okay.
It's a thing of your nightmares, but it's damage.
Okay, so Ellen is telling us to follow through.
I think we should just skip ahead.
Oh,
no, I think we should skip ahead because I know you guys would be able to beat this.
Okay.
Without too much trouble.
Okay, so let's just say we did.
Unlike me in real life, I would have an extreme amount of difficulty with this encounter.
Defeating a centipede.
Oh, yeah. I have called my dogs in to get rid of them. Like, Pixel, come over here. There's a centipede. Please play with it until it's dead.
Okay, so we've completed this encounter. Is there any resulting... Do we get any fun prizes, or is it just we've survived to the next turn?
Man, I feel like when you defeat an enemy, like some enemies can be converted to food.
Okay.
But then you have to carry them with you.
Yeah, so maybe it's a choice to make. It's do we send it back?
It's not, might not be as good as the stuff we find, because we could find like, bunch of seeds or whatever.
Well, alternately, this is where we can use the carry stat, right? Like it has a certain weight or something that eats up our carry stats amongst the party or something. And maybe the reason why the different members of the party have different stats is that it's about managing your remainders. So one character has a carry of 4 and this thing weighs 3. Well, then you can carry it, but you can only carry one more thing, even though other members of the party can carry other things.
Yeah.
Or something.
Okay, I like that. Okay, so let's say we pick it up and
just take it with us, but it eats up our carry stat for one of our party members.
Yeah, let's do it.
Ellen, now we need to decide how heavy it is.
Yeah, well, I think it's a centipede. It's kind of heavy. So if we add up the carry stats of the party, which I think that's a kind of cool way of doing it, because then it opens the idea to having like modifications and people doing their own kind of player classes. Anyway, so you guys have got 18 carry capacity.
Okay. So for now, we'll just put them all in a bucket then and just assume it's...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just for simplify's sake.
Mm-hmm. Right. But this centipede, I mean, it's big. It's a small centipede, but compared to you guys, it's big. So I think it actually takes up like 10. It's 2. You guys chop it up with your mouth parts and divide it.
Mandibles.
With your mandibles. And divide it amongst, 2. This the worker and the soldier.
So then the question is then, do we carry it with us? And then if we find a treasure that then maxes our carry, we can drop some centipede.
Okay.
Right? Or do we send it back to secure it? Do you know what I mean? Because we're still pretty close to home.
I'd say...
And if we do, what's the mechanic for that?
I'd say it's just like an inventory. So we have it taking up inventory spot, and then we can ditch part of it if we want.
Okay, that works for me.
But now we have the reward is that maybe we won't have to have to go all the way down the path.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Because we already have food.
I don't know. Right, we could just turn back now. But then how effective is the food? But we decided not to worry about that just yet. We're good. Yeah, our motivation should still be to reach the food.
Sure. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So you guys have current. So your current carry capacity is 10 out of 18, and your 4 units, 2 of them are maxed out.
Okay.
Right.
Cool.
Okay. So,
right. You could have, like, in this case, the centipede can be chopped up and divided amongst any of us in any size, but maybe there's other items which have to be carried by one person or whatever, but we don't need to worry about any of that. But I like the idea that the two of our characters are spent. Right?
Yeah, because it's so much centipede that your worker and your soldier are now just walking around with giant hunks of centipede in their mouths. This game is weird. Okay.
Okay, so now we're on our next turn. And so the question is, do we just continue on, or is there an action we can do here to say, do another sense check for additional information, but then maybe that costs us some speed? Or is there a choice here to make, or do we just move on?
I feel like you should be able to sense check whenever you have an opportunity to move again, because you might decide that, like, okay, it sounds like based on the information we got from our scent check that we don't want to continue on and we want to go back.
Okay.
Like,
but there's no cost to the sense check.
No, I don't think so. But you maybe only make one per.
Mm-hmm. And it's just a generalized sense check, or do we have to maybe choose what to sense? Like, maybe a sense check could be we've sensed to see how valuable this centipede is as food, and then that could help us make a choice about whether to turn around or not.
I feel like that's maybe more. That's cool, but it might be more complicated.
I say we just make another general one.
Yeah.
And we get a chance to do that every time we stop.
Yep.
Every end of turn, but we can only do it then.
All right, we'll roll that dice.
Okay. Aha! I got an 8 this time.
That's plus our whatever our modifier was that we chose for whoever it was that did it, or
I don't think you guys have a. We talked about maybe doing that, but I don't know if it makes sense to have a modifier for the full party on sense check.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and if maybe ultimately it's that the party has a sense.
Let's do that for this version.
But for now, it's just the value of the die is what we
right,
got, sure.
right, and it's the difficulty that's set towards the path, like the path difficulty level.
Oh, that makes sense. So once we're on the path, it has a modifier that maybe we don't even know about. Like that reduces our roll, and then you check against whatever.
Yeah, or I was thinking maybe in terms of these like general rolls, like there's just a range. Like if you roll 8 above, then you learn like pretty much all the available information.
Okay.
If you roll between like 4 and 7, then you learn some information, GM's discretion.
Right.
And if you roll 3 or below, then it's like, okay, there's some food that direction.
Right.
Really
Okay, so we earned.
What did our 8 get us?
Okay. All right. So for your sense roll of 8 was pretty awesome. And
hey, good job.
Someone, one ant stopped to clean off another ant, and so all the antennae are working properly this time. Or maybe the weevil helped because the weevil eats dust. So maybe the weevil was like, "Oh, clean your antenna. There's some fluffs on there."
And all the ants are like, "You're a strange ant."
Like, why are you so weirdly shaped? We have to post a Wikipedia page to weevils at the end for this episode because you guys are so cute. Anyway. Okay, so you know that the food, let me just finish drawing the map here.
So we can go another from our position now, we can go over to the east. Looks like 5 squares. Then we go down to the south 1 square, and then back over to the east for 2 more squares, and then the X marks the spot is right there.
So this is the path revealed to us. We haven't moved it yet.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So I drew a dotted path to indicate where the path is and how many more movement turns the party would need to take to get there. And I drew where the food was. The thing I didn't draw on the map is how good the food is. And so that's what I'm going to reveal to you though, because you had a really good roll. So they're going to be, you think you'll be able to find 3 units of food at this place.
Whoa, 3, you hear that?
Nice.
That sounds like a number.
That's like the best number of the ones.
Oh, right. We decided it was going to be 1, 2, or 3.
Did we?
I don't know. Someone talked about that at one point.
So it's a good number. It's a valuable stash. Right?
Let's do it. Okay. I say we keep going.
In another scenario where you'd get some dotted lines, you might say like, oh, it's too far away. Let's go back and try the other path that was shorter. But in this case, we already chose the shorter path, or so we thought. And so this information basically just confirms that, this is the right path, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Or it's a path that will get you something that you need.
Yes. We have information about this path.
Let's move on then.
Okay. We're going to move our movement speed.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So roll your encounter die. See if you... Oh, you totally... you don't even smell the scent of any centipedes. Not even, like the only people who have only critters who have been here recently are ants from your colony. Yeah. Familiar.
Nice.
So you're feeling pretty good.
All right. Next turn, I guess, then, right?
Yeah. Do you want to do another sense roll, or do you want to keep going?
It's doing can't hurt, right? There's no cost to it. We've decided.
Sure.
So, we got a 6.
Okay, 6. I mean, you got a lot of information from the scent trail already. You get this, you get the sense that there's obviously been some traffic from your colony on this scent trail, but there are the sense of other critters that pass them, like the centipede that you guys encountered, and you get the sense that there's moderate traffic on this path. Like there's some critters that come in and out that are not ants from your colony, but it's not. There's you don't sense like looming danger around every turn,
right,
or every pebble or every blade of grass.
Cool. So really, we should be prepared. We should be confident, but prepared to be surprised.
Okay.
All right. Let's
Sounds good.
Moving on then.
We're moving.
Okay. So moving another 4 squares. I'm going to draw the rest of the path that I sketched out. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And does that get us to our goal?
It gets you to your food goal.
Hey!
Yay!
All right. So at this point, we knew it was good food, but do we know how much it will take to carry?
So, yeah, I guess that's a good question. So this is where I'm wondering, like, there's going to be food there, and then maybe, but I'm wondering, do we do a roll or something for how, like, exactly what you find or how much you can? I don't know.
I imagine that if we weren't able to sense things up to now, then once we get there, it would all just be revealed to us.
Right, or you have to sense to figure out how much food you can find.
Right, because I guess that's the question is, and this comes back a little bit to the theming, is like, when you find your cache of food, does an ant just find it, or is it something you have to actually like dig around for in the little space that you determined?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know what ants actually do. So
I mean, it depends on what they're finding.
Yeah,
like if they come in your house and find the plate of food that you left out,
right?
Then
just getting there is the whole battle.
Yeah,
right?
and then and ripping off pieces to then carry back.
Yeah.
So maybe this is another like sense or scent roll. Like maybe as you're doing as you're moving along the path and doing your sense rolls along the way, you can get information about like there will be up to 6 units of food at this place.
Mm-hmm.
But once you actually get there, then you have to do a sense roll to find it and see how many you get. Maybe
it's a case of sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. So like if you're far away on the scent trail and you sense the food, then you can get all the information about it, but you actually don't know if it's hidden from view, right? And once you get there, that's like the last unknown, and then it's just a randomized flip a coin whether it's just sitting out there for you to grab or whether there's a task you need to complete in order to get it. Either get it out from embedded in the wall, find it because it's hidden, maybe even in extremely unlucky scenarios, it is just absolutely out of reach. And it's a dead end, so there could be lots of different versions of this encounter that you there's some tension before you reach it.
Yeah, like it's behind a wall, and you have to chew through it or something.
Yeah, so you use your attacking stats to actually pry it loose, or you need to use your sensing stats because you can't see it.
Let's try that. Let's say like, okay, so you got here, but it seems like it's scattered all over the ground.
Yeah.
And you felt pretty confident that there would be up to 3 units of food to be able to find it. So let's have you guys do a sense roll to see if you can find how many pieces of food you're able to find.
Okay.
Seven.
Okay. So let me just look. I made a little range here of like, I'm kind of like thinking about fate, how like you just like the steps. And so I made like a great success and then like a middling and then not so great. So you had like a middling, like the top of the middling roll. So you're able to find 2 of the 3 food units that you think are here. I guess the thing is you could choose to do another search and try to find the remaining ones.
But it would take a turn.
It would take a turn and it might trigger another encounter.
Right.
Oh, right. Yes. I say that probably maybe more than 3 should be the top.
Yeah, you're probably right. So
you mean we'd potentially be able to, it'd be the whole like deposit of potato chip crumbs or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, just in general, not necessarily for this specific food that we're getting right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's a lot more of like, how many turns do we spend before it starts getting too risky to keep gathering?
So I was thinking like, yeah, that's a good question.
Well, let's just say there were 3 here. Yep. That was the number that was put, and we'll decide.
We got 2. We feel that it's not worth spending an extra turn to get that last one. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But let's just assume we have game knowledge that tells us this is good enough. And then the mechanic now is, this is a one-way path, at least the way we think it's drawn. So do we sense to maybe do we just go back and that's what we have to do? We have to return it? Or do we just say that in this game, going back home is free? Because it'd be kind of boring just to continue encounters on the way back.
I think going back home is free.
Okay.
Does that sound good to you?
Yeah.
Let's go back home.
So you guys have 12 food units out of a capacity of 18.
Okay.
All right.
Because of that centipede.
Yes.
Yeah, you got a good chunk of centipede in there.
Yeah. Okay, so at this point, then we can take the second path, or we could sense roll to find maybe additional paths or something. Or maybe at this point, we can now move on to the twist and the final encounter.
Yeah, I'd say like if we were playing a full game, we would try other scent paths and whatever, figure out how many we have before we get to the twist. But let's assume we spent our 60 hours playing the game, grinding, and now is the twist.
You have to get your queen like 30 food units or something like that.
Right.
And then once you do that, then it triggers the final event or something.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, so now we have our 3 possible story endings, our big twist. And it really is just a matter of, I think that my instinct is just, it's purely random. Like there's nothing we can do to decide which of the 3. My guess, you play this game a couple of times, what the endings are. But I almost prefer a slot machine mechanic to having to manipulate your way to an ending.
Yeah. Let's right now have the GM roll a die and then see what it is.
I gotta think about if we're only going to use. I like the constraint of having you can only use D10s.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. I have seen a 3D printed D3 before.
Yes,
it's pretty cool.
Let's say that it's divided up into 3s, so that's 9, and then if you get a 10, you reroll.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of me wants to, even though the D6 is so boring, part of me wants to do that because ants have 6 legs.
But we've chose D10s at the beginning.
Yeah, it's too late now.
That would have been a great idea back then.
or we could change that constraint and say like all the regular rolls are decided by D10 except for this. Your fate is the D6.
Right. Yeah. If this were like a box you bought in a store, like what would be the props? What would feel interesting? We don't need to worry about it now. But
yeah. Well, I'd say right now, let's just roll the D10.
Yep, roll a 10 and you roll again. So 6. So that's the second, right?
Yeah.
Which one was that? I guess you'll reveal it to us in dramatic fashion.
Okay. Gosh. I'm gonna make some stats on the fly. I'm gonna make some stuff up on the fly here, you guys. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, so you are able to fulfill your queen's command and bring 30 units of food back to the colony throughout your various travels. Now, I will say that like your team is a little bit like, let's say, I mean, we might want to adjust our HP here because I think you would have encountered some more enemies and things like that. So you're not going to be going in full hit points.
Ella doesn't have the confidence that we would make it through unscathed.
Not with me as GM. Starting, it was 10, 15, 8, and 20. And that's a badly drawn 8. You guys are going to be able to see that.
Oh, didn't we decide that we all had 10?
Wait, yeah, we did. We decided we all had 10.
And that was just our armor stats. Whatever.
Let's say we all have 10 and maybe that we healed up.
Yeah, maybe whenever you go back to the colony, you heal back to full.
Yeah. That could also make the encounters more risky. Each one could kill us, like in terms of a design constraint.
Yeah, okay.
But for now, let's just say we're back to 10.
Everyone's got 10. Exoskeleton. That's right. Okay, so everyone's back at 10, and you're back at the colony. The queen is very pleased with you. Turns out she likes the taste of centipede. Probably the only ant on the planet who likes the taste of centipede. But as you are starting, turning from your foraging, the task of foraging, and to the task of like maybe cleaning out the colony or just being one of the ants that's just standing around at any point in time. Apparently, that's the thing. Like some of the ants are just standing around doing nothing.
Sign me up for that job.
Yeah, for sure. There is a rumbling near the entrance of the main anthill, and you're gonna have to go out and investigate. So as you and a lot of other ants are going to scramble to the surface, and there's a little bit of a traffic jam as you're going to the surface. And what you see is a swarm of huge dragonflies descending from the sky and like landing on near the anthill next to you, like near your anthill, and then like depositing this horde of other ants that they smell different than you. They smell that these are different ants, and they have like their exoskeletons, they're shiny, and you can see that they have this, I don't know, they're using some weird biting technique to control these dragonflies. And so like you see like there's a little ant pilot on the top of each dragonfly with like rubbing its antenna the right way to get it to go up, and then it like flies away, and then it goes back, and then you'll see another dragonfly come down, and like the pilot and will hold onto the dragonfly antenna, and the other ants will like jump off, go 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 go, and you are being attacked by a inexplicably advanced ant colony civilization.
This is so unexpected.
Dun dun dun.
From the yard next door. You are facing off against the phalanx of soldier ants that's leading the charge here.
Dang.
And
I do not like our chances.
No, dislike.
Yeah. So this would be like in a longer form game. This would be like we'd be instant underdogs now. So mechanically, like the four of us, the party can't reasonably win against an army of advanced.
Maybe this is like one of those things where the boss shows up halfway through the game.
Yeah.
Shows the twist of what's happening, really. But then they do that thing where you defeat them the first encounter, and then they're like, "Oh, well, I don't have time to deal with you. I have other things to do, so smell you later."
Right.
And then,
Actually, what'd be great is the ultimate twist later on would be big twist, like phalanx of advanced ants and dragonflies. And then on our first battle, we barely scrape it out. And the boss does that. It says like, like either you haven't seen the last of me, or I don't have time for this. And it turns out it was just a test of our defenses.
Or you get buzzed by a dragonfly.
I'm just trying to find some reason we don't just instantly die.
Well, so I was thinking like you have a phalanx of soldier ants, but I feel like if you're facing off against a group enemy, then the GM's going to be constrained by the same things that you have.
Uh-huh.
And I also think, we put aside I think I had put aside the idea of the weevil being able to push.
Yeah,
but maybe
right.
That's
that was
still
good.
A thing.
Yeah.
The weevil can still push, and that like disables one of the enemies for a round.
Yeah, like in RPG style, like the reason the player party has an advantage is not necessarily because of stats or pure brute force, but because they have abilities and weird, interesting mechanics that enemies generally don't have. So that would be something presumably we would also have along our adventures. We've learned new skills, picked up implements, and like the weevil being able to push would be something that the enemy would be totally unprepared for.
Yeah.
So that would all line up.
Bioblaster.
We'd have more stuff like that, I suppose.
Venom spray.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So how does this encounter work then?
Okay, I gotta finish writing some stats. So I'm just transferring the byte values from one page to the next.
So do we need to break through this phalanx to get at the boss, or is this really just about survival?
Ooh, I hadn't thought about making it a 2-phase fight, but if it's a JRPG, it's gotta have phases, right?
Yeah.
So let's
Well, for the recording, maybe we should just do one phase.
Yes, we're running short on time now.
Okay, so yeah, for sure. Let's retcon a little bit. There's only one dragonfly.
Yeah.
And you know that it's going to take off and go back and get more soldier ants.
Okay, so we need to intercept this dragonfly. Or
defeat it.
Disable it.
Yeah, so there's one dragonfly and it's taking trips, and each time it comes back, it's bringing more soldier ants. And I want to say, you're not the only party of ants that's fighting against this horde.
Right.
But this is the phalanx you need to get through to be able to disable the dragonfly that they have tamed.
Okay, I like it.
Okay, let's do it.
Or maybe just disable the pilot and set the dragonfly free.
Ooh.
Right.
Because all JRPGs have an environmental message.
Right. Okay. Okay, so these are soldier ants. They have HP 10. But they're super soldier ants.
So before we get to this final battle, we want to discuss titles, right?
Yeah,
we
titles.
take a break before a little calm before the storm. We wanted to have a fun RPG title for this game. And what were we thinking?
Well, I think the constraints for the title or criteria were given were it has to have a colon in it.
Yep.
It has to be sounding amazing and epic.
Right.
Because it is.
It has to have a few too many words than is practical.
So 2 ubs was the constraint.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Maybe a number like 5 or 2 or whatever. Like,
well, let's not get that far ahead of ourselves.
We can call it 1.
Yeah.
Ants of Destiny 1, or Ants of Destiny,
Uh-huh.
and then we have to have another oven there. Morsels of the Queen.
Dang, that's great.
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh my God.
Okay, now with that important business taken care of, we can now participate in the final battle to save these Ants of Destiny.
Save our Ants of Destiny colony and defeat the evil, inexplicably advanced ant colony from the country next door, from the yard next door.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing we did was we rolled. I think we decided on initiative, which party goes first, right? So and we decided just to be like for now,
just a roll off.
Just a roll off. There might be some opportunity to use your most recent sense as this is like, feel like this is different because it's the big bad encounter at the end. But yeah, who wants to do the roll off for initiative?
Martha, why don't you take charge?
6.
Ooh, and I rolled a 10. So the evil Empire ants are going to go first.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a party of ants. You are facing 3 super soldier ants from the advanced colony. They were dropped off by the dragonfly.
Mm-hmm.
And they look pretty nasty. Very sharp mandibles.
Hey, we've fought a centipede.
And you lived.
Nothing is as nasty.
Like, it's true. Okay. So, but I'm under the same constraints with party style fighting as you would be. So as opposed to like having like the one enemy that we had with the centipede who goes after every time you guys go, I do one character and that character's spent. You guys do one character and that character's spent.
Sounds good.
So, there's oh man, I just realized I could have like a leader ant and that ant could have different stats, but not for now. So I'm just going to go ant 1, 2, and 3. So ant 1, the leftmost ant is going to attack, the flyer.
So there's just 3 enemy ants?
3 enemy ants. Oh, the flyer's off the ground?
What? No, this is the weevil with an ant costume on.
Okay, to describe what I'm seeing, we have 3 green cubes representing the evil enemy ants. Oh, we're going to take a picture. And then 4 brown cubes, but underneath one brown cube is an orange cube because that's the weevil pretending to be an ant.
And then Martha has also arranged a number of cubes in the shape of a dragonfly behind the ants.
So cute. Okay. All right. So the first Imperial ant is going to attack the flyer ant.
Okay.
Okay. And the flyer ant has a exoskeleton modifier of -1.
All right. I'll roll for that one. 7.
Okay. So I rolled a 2. So the Imperial ant kind of rushes at the flyer and going.
Wait, what was that?
With his mandibles, and the flyer is pretty nimble, so the flyer like dances back and goes, "Ha ha!"
I love all this flavor. Okay, so now it's someone on our side.
Yep.
So who should we go first?
Let's do I don't know, is this the worker ant?
Sure.
Okay.
Why don't you roll for that? And we're just attacking that leftmost one that attacked?
Yeah, which one are you attacking?
Sure, let's do the leftmost one.
Number 1.
Okay.
Number 1.
Okay, what did you roll?
I rolled a 6.
Okay. So these ones are soldier ants, so they have an exo modifier of 3, which means it meets. So
what do we do for ties?
D&D meets, it beats, but I think that's usually the
I think in the case of a tie, just for fun, just roll again.
Sure, yeah, okay, that makes it easy.
Like, but with no modifier.
Oh, okay.
Just a roll, just who rolls higher.
It's like war.
Yep.
Right?
Oh yeah. Okay.
I rolled a 6 and Ellen rolled a 3.
I rolled a 3. So you and which one are you attacking with?
By the skin of your teeth, you made it through, right?
Dodge. Attack. I'm just impatient.
Okay. So first,
Martha wants these enemies dead.
So did you attack Ant 1, Ant 2, or Ant 3?
Left.
I attacked Ant 1.
The one that just attacked you. You're attacking it back.
Yes.
Okay. So you made your hit, so you have to roll for damage. Wait, no, you would just do damage, right? And you attacked with the flyer.
I attacked with the just regular worker.
The regular worker. Okay. So your bite is 2, so you just automatically take down 2 damage. So that one, you sink your mandibles into it, and it goes in ant speak. It releases a scent that you don't recognize, and it disgusts you. But it smells of fear, and that makes you happy.
Awesome. Okay, so now you get to attack again.
Yep. So the middle ant steps up and is going to attack the flyer again as well.
Okay, I'll roll for that. 6, so 5 with modifier.
Really, really squirmy flyer. So the flyer dodges again and is able to evade.
All right, at this point, the flyer's got to get an attack in because it's getting kind of angry.
Sure.
So let's say we concentrate on that single ant that we attacked earlier.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, flyer ant is attacking. I rolled a 1.
Okay, so opposed roll. I also rolled a 1, but the exo modifier is 3. So clearly, like the flyer is angry and really brave.
Yeah,
and rushes forward, little flit of its wings, and tries to gnash at the first ant.
Yeah,
totally misses, and you get a little like laugh, like this ant is amused by the flyer's pitiful attempts.
Okay, so your final ant of your trio is up.
Yeah, are you guys keeping track of which ants have gone?
Yeah, we have 2 left.
Okay, cool. All right, so final ant of the trio is going to step forth and attack the flyer again.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
5.
Okay. -1.
Right.
Okay, so this attack hits because I rolled a 6 and you have 4. Okay, so the bite on these soldier ants is a little bit boosted because they're super soldier ants. So the flyer takes 4 bite damage.
Oof.
Okay, so the flyer is down to 6 out of 10 hit points.
Mm-hmm.
The flyer is down to 6 out of 10 hit points.
What?
Well, we haven't used the flying mechanic.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, one of the things that I'm thinking of too is when for which of the party goes in what order, there doesn't seem to be any particular reason why to pick one over the other right now.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to solve that, but that's something that we would want to solve. Is like otherwise you would just have them go based on like a static initiative modifier or something. Like they always go in this order, just so that it's to prevent the player from making like an uninteresting choice.
Yeah, well, I think that might have to be influenced by the stats. So like the soldier has higher exoskeleton and higher bite value, so you might want to have them attack first.
Mm-hmm.
The weevil doesn't have, has a pretty pitiful bite, but also has that push ability to knock things out of the turn.
So you
order.
so then that's what it'd be. Push would be to basically stun an enemy for this round.
Yeah, and I'm thinking maybe fly does remove we talked about flying, like removing the flyer from the battle.
Yeah.
But maybe it also lets you get like a boost to your attack or something like that.
Maybe if we were to Martha has these cubes sort of arranged just visually for our benefit, the way it would sort of appear on a screen. But maybe there's something about the flyer can attack enemies that are otherwise out of reach from the other players.
For now, let's say like if last turn we attacked with the flyer and had them fly, that they just disappear for a round and then their attack happens the next round.
Oh, like
so 2 attacks will happen at once the next round.
Oh, like yeah.
Oh, that's the fly ability.
It's like fly in Pokemon.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Is that exactly how that works in Pokemon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so they get removed they skip a round, but then they come back and do 2.
Well, we actually used that one already to attack.
Right. So let's just say
we didn't do that. We'll do it next turn.
In the next round. So it's still in, but you have the option of doing it. So you already used the flyer.
So we haven't used the weevil or the soldier ant.
Right.
And now it's hard. Now we can use both of them, right? Because your 3 have gone and our 2 are left.
Right. So yes.
So Martha,
Okay, so let's do the weave. Well, let's do the soldier first.
All right.
Okay. Get a 9.
Which one are you attacking?
Oh, I'm attacking. Which one am I attacking?
That first
The
one
first
again?
one?
The first one.
Okay. I got a 10. And I have an XO of 3.
So that's a miss.
That's a pretty good roll for defense on the first dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So now our Weevil is our last actor. So we can attack or we can figure out what this push does.
I'd say push makes them skip the next round. Right?
Well, so the question then is, if a Weevil pushes all three of our enemies have gone this round, and so if the push ability were to say take the enemy that it hits out of this round, then it would be strategically
to go
beneficial
first.
to go early. Whereas if it takes it out of the next time it goes, then it doesn't matter.
Let's just say it's this round only. So we didn't do the Weevil push at the right time. So let's say have the Weevil attack.
Sure. So we'll attack that first one again?
Okay, so the Weevil's attacking, not pushing. Got it. All right, so you're attacking the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oof. 2.
Okay.
Ellen got a 5.
Yeah, plus 3. I realize the exoskeleton modifier is pretty hard here.
Yeah. Well, I think for now, we can spend if we're really making this into a real RPG, we could spend a lot of time balancing out things.
Well, we made
and
our
stuff
choices,
like that.
yeah.
So we made our choices, and I say that okay, we missed, and now we did a whole round. So that's how a battle works.
Mm-hmm.
Should we do the whole battle just off camera?
Well, if Ellen has something in there that is interesting for the next round of battle, I think the fly and the push mechanic, I think we've pretty much explained how that would work, more or less. We don't need to play it out. What do you think, Ellen?
Oh gosh, I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah, just like beating on these 3 soldiers, especially when their exoskeleton is so high.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking for interesting audio.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's just fast forward like we did last round to the end of this round. So we defeat the enemies, and then is there something that we need to do for the dragonfly? Do you think? Or do we just sort of reach our goal and then trigger a cutscene, which is good too? Yeah.
Well, I feel like if we were gonna do this for real, I'm realizing 2 things. One, just beating on some soldier ants is kind of boring.
Yeah.
So there might need to be some kind of mechanic where once there's a random chance for their technology to falter and then their exoskeleton goes to 0.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Which would be kind of cool. So,
or like you were saying early on when we started this, that you had wished that there was more differentiation between the targets, which would either make them more appealing to attack or more interesting in which order do they attack us. I think that's a pretty easy solve there.
Yeah, so it's not just the 3 soldier ants.
Yeah.
But I feel like you can put in that random thing of their exoskeleton goes to 0.
Yeah.
Would be interesting. Because then it also is you have an opportunity to attack.
Right, as an opening. And we were going to have the Weevil push this round, but the conditions have changed in the moment. Let's change our plan.
Or the flyer went up and the flyer has to choose a target before they fly.
Oh, that's
so
good.
Maybe it could happen to be the one that they pick.
Yeah.
Or it could happen to be not the one they pick, but so then they miss their opportunity.
Uh-huh. Or you can take the bet that one will be the prime target, but you're not certain, but you have to choose now. Right? Yeah. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay, well, I think we're fully into the post-mortem portion of the episode.
Yeah.
So let's of the whole system. There's lots unfinished. What do we think?
It just makes me appreciate how much attention to detail goes into making an old JRPG style game. Oh my God, there's so many numbers you have to balance, and that just makes me really appreciate the designers of those games.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've identified, like you were saying, just wailing on the 3 enemy ants is not that fun. That's how most game JRPGs work. So that's not a particular failing of our design. But I would much prefer to fix that than to just say it's what everyone does.
Yeah.
But then I don't know, what's the audience expectation? Is there something sort of calming about just building a wall brick by brick and just taking down enemies one by one? Or can it be overwhelming to have to constantly think strategically all the time for every action you take, which is my preference, but I don't know, would everybody like that?
I think if in a digital setting where your characters are all pretty different, and you have like in a JRPG that isn't ants on a table, you have like tons of items to pick from, and you have like the like your talent trees that you can shape, and so the modifications you can make to your character are immense. And I think that means that like by default, one encounter is always going to feel different than the next, because you will have different skills, you will have different gear, you might have a different character in there, you might have different skill sets and skill trees and things like that. So it makes it just by going into a fight, even if you're wailing on 3 of the same enemy, there's a ton of variability in how your party approaches those enemies that makes that okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and so like, I think we have this problem when we try to get into more complicated systems. We do Nice Games Jam, is that a lot of it just relies on content and like having more and more inventory items, abilities, and all those things. It just becomes different. It's difficult to abstract and say like, oh, let's just do 1 or 2 of them and see how it plays, because core to the fun of the gameplay loop is having a lot of those options, right? And that's hard to virtualize in a jam setting like this. You have to sort of imagine it works that way, I guess. Like even with the abilities we have, the fly and push, like we sort of like, oh right, and we've got that. We weren't able to get enough time to really test it out, and that makes it kind of difficult to build a system, because you want the system itself, the mechanics, to be more complex, to cover up failings in which would otherwise be solved by just having more stuff, right?
Yeah, but I kind of like that. I mean, like it makes you really nail those mechanics.
Yeah. That's my preference is like, I would prefer to have fewer of those options and more mechanics to be able to choose from. But I don't know if that's JRPG enough,
Yeah. Well, the other thing is I feel like we got some of the tropes in there, but it's not 120 hours long.
No, that's true.
So,
but Ellen, you did a really good job of like, on the fly, providing us with a lot of this content.
Yeah.
Like we're really all supposed to design this together, but by making you the GM, we put a lot of the burden on you to like to solve the problems immediately. You did a great job.
You're not going to look at ants outside the same way again.
Yeah.
Where is that little party of ants going? Anyway.
Well, we'll take pictures of all the materials we've got, and we'll try to summarize the rules in text form as best we can. And Ellen's going to let us get images of her notes as well. That we'll put up on the episode for you to sort of try out and sort of see what makes sense and what weird choices we made that baffle you. And you can sort of see how we came to them on the page.
Sort of. You'll see some things that you'll recognize after listening, and some things that don't make any sense at all.
But also you sort of see like how difficult some of this to keep straight in your head as you're putting this together. Not just under the constraints that we made ourselves suffer, but like when we were coming up with like offensive and defense, we're like, oh, hit points and damage boosts, but we didn't consider armor or attack strength. And it just didn't occur to us right away until we needed it in the thing. And so I guess that's a testament to the value of playtesting, right? Yeah.
I'm like, I kind of want to keep working on this, because now I have all these ideas of like, well, yeah, if in a JRPG, you have to go get items, right? And like you have different skill options. So maybe at one point you encounter a thing of resin, and you can either get stuck in it or it can make your exoskeleton harder.
Oh. I think the best thing we've done here is build a really interesting universe.
Yes.
Which ultimately JRPG is like, it's really easy to sort of like, oh, they're all the same, the mechanics are all identical. It's like, it's not necessarily a failing. Like a lot of times having a unique mechanic is a helpful thing, but what really sells a lot of these games is their fascinating characters, interesting stories. And even though they also contain a lot of tropes, like that's what people do play these things for. And so having some familiarity in how you play them, it can be a virtue. Mm. But I think we did a good enough job of coming up with tweaks on mechanics as well. So I think we did okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's our show. If you haven't already, subscribe to Nice Games Club in your favorite podcast app, and be sure to give it a good review if you liked it, or are nice like us. It doesn't matter if you like this game or not. That is not a requirement to giving us a good review. We need to know you're out there, so leave a review and tell all your friends too. Of course, you can, as we mentioned, play the game if you'd like, and sort of tweak the rules if you're interested. We'll put all the notes up there on the show page. We want to hear directly from you as well, so follow us on Twitter and all the other things at Nice Games Club, and email us at contact@nicegames.club. Lastly, you can find out more about the show and your nice host, as well as our lovely guest host, Ellen, who's joined us for the past 2 weeks, as well as get all the links and show notes from this and other episodes at nicegames.club. And so until we start again, remember to
play nice
and make nice.
Ellen, do you want to take like a quick minute while we pause?
Yeah, let's pause so I can...
Let's just pretend you did this in a flash, but just go ahead and take a minute.
Please make me look good by doing that. Yeah, okay.
I'm going to leave the recording running. So anything you say in here is candidate for the end of the show.
Yeah, okay, got it. I'm proud of our game.
I think it's be good.
This is pretty neat. The next time that someone cancels on my D&D group and we have just a game night, I'm going to make them play it.
Nice.
Yeah.